We're alone. Now let's do what must be done. Whisper of the mail-order bride. Anna's heart pounded as the small bus rolled along the narrow, dusty road leading out of her hometown. She pressed her hand against the worn leather of her bag, feeling the letters and documents inside, the papers that had brought her here. She had spent months corresponding with Michael, a man who lived in a distant country, who had offered her a chance at a new life. The idea of leaving everything behind had terrified her. Yet it had also promised escape from the struggles of her small village, where opportunities were few and hope even scarcer. She looked out the window as the fields passed by. The golden wheat swayed in the gentle breeze, a reminder of home, of the life she was leaving behind. Her parents had hugged her tightly, their faces a mixture of pride and sorrow.
Her mother had whispered that she must be careful, that not everyone who seemed kind could be trusted. Her father had been more silent, only holding her hand as if the gesture alone could give her strength.
Now, miles away from them, Anna felt both excited and afraid. When the bus finally stopped at the small airport, Anna stepped off with a mix of anticipation and anxiety. She clutched her bag tightly and scanned the crowd. Her instructions had been clear. Michael would meet her at the arrival's gate. She had memorized the description he had sent. Tall, with dark hair, wearing a gray coat. She waited, her eyes darting back and forth, searching for him among the strangers. And then she saw him. He was exactly as he had described, standing with his hands in his pockets, watching the arrivals hall with a calm expression. Something about the way he looked at her made her stomach twist. He smiled faintly when their eyes met, and for a moment, relief washed over her. Maybe this man was just as ordinary as he had seemed in letters, but the feeling was fleeting. As Michael approached, Anna noticed the way his eyes lingered on her, studying her in a way that made her feel small and exposed. He spoke politely, introducing himself again and guiding her toward a waiting car. His words were measured, calm, and polite, but there was something in his tone that made her uneasy, a subtle edge that she couldn't quite place. The drive from the airport was long, and Anna remained quiet, staring out the window at unfamiliar streets and buildings. Everything was new, the cars, the signs, the language, even the way people moved. She felt a growing sense of isolation, as if the world she knew had ended the moment she had stepped off the bus. Michael occasionally glanced at her, offering small comments about the weather or the city, but his eyes never lost that intensity. She tried to focus on the scenery, hoping to distract herself from the tension she felt in the car. When they arrived at Michael's home, Anna felt a wave of anxiety. The house was large and impressive, far grander than anything she had ever known. Yet despite its elegance, it felt cold and unwelcoming. The walls were decorated with expensive paintings, and the furniture was polished and perfect, but there was no warmth in the atmosphere. Michael led her inside, showing her the rooms she would occupy. Every step she took echoed through the empty hallways, amplifying her sense of being watched, of being alone in a strange place. Anna tried to make conversation, asking about the house, the neighborhood, even small questions about Michael's life. He answered politely but briefly, often changing the subject or steering the discussion back to mundane topics. His responses were careful, almost rehearsed, and Anna began to feel the first twinges of fear. She realized that while he was not openly hostile, there was a strictness in his demeanor, a sense that her actions were being silently measured. The first night in the house was the hardest. Anna lay awake in the unfamiliar bed, listening to the creaks and groans of the old house, the distant hum of traffic outside, and the soft sound of Michael moving around. Every shadow seemed to stretch and shift in the moonlight, and she found herself imagining the worst. She remembered the letters he had sent, the carefully chosen words promising safety and companionship, and wondered how much of it was truth and how much was control disguised as kindness. Over the next few days, Anna began to notice patterns in Michael's behavior. He was meticulous about schedules, insisting on punctuality for meals, outings, and even simple chores around the house. He asked detailed questions about her past, her family, her habits, in a way that felt more like an investigation than polite curiosity. At first, she tried to answer him honestly, believing that openness would earn his trust, but she soon realized that every answer seemed to bring him further scrutiny, as if nothing she said could satisfy him. Anna also noticed the small ways in which her independence was being limited. He would gently correct her choices, from the clothes she wore to the meals she prepared. While he framed these corrections as guidance, Anna felt the subtle tightening of control, the creeping realization that her life in this new place would not be entirely her own. Each evening she would retreat to her room, trying to reconcile the man she thought she knew from letters with the man she was discovering in reality. One afternoon, Michael invited Anna to sit in the study, a room lined with books and soft leather chairs. He spoke of the future, of responsibilities, of the importance of their partnership.
His voice was calm, persuasive, almost soothing.
Yet beneath it, Anna detected a current of insistence, a quiet pressure that made her heart race. She realized that Michael had expectations, and they were not always ones she could freely choose to meet. Despite the unease, there were moments when Michael's demeanor softened, brief flashes of kindness that confused her. He would smile at something she said, or ask about her comfort, as if aware of the storm brewing inside her. These moments made her cling to hope, thinking that perhaps he was not entirely as controlling as she feared. But the underlying tension never fully dissipated, and she found herself walking on a careful line between obedience and self-preservation.
The turning point came on the third night, when Michael spoke words that would haunt Anna for weeks.
The house was silent, except for the soft ticking of a clock, and the moonlight spilled across the polished floor. Michael leaned close and whispered, "We're alone." "Now let's do what must be done." The words were not shouted, not violent, but they carried a weight that sent shivers down her spine. Anna felt a cold knot of fear in her stomach, realizing that her isolation had reached a critical point. She spent the rest of the night thinking about those words. What did he mean? Were they a threat, a test, or something else entirely? The questions swirled in her mind, keeping sleep at bay. She reflected on every interaction, every letter, every subtle correction, searching for meaning and trying to anticipate what might come next. For the first time, she understood the depth of her vulnerability. She was in a new country, alone with a man she barely knew, and every move she made would matter. Yet amid the fear, a spark of determination began to grow. Anna realized that if she was to survive and find a way to navigate this new life, she could not rely solely on hope. She had to be aware, cautious, and observant. She had to learn the rules of this new environment quickly and understand the man she lived with. That night, she made a silent promise to herself. She would not be completely at his mercy. Not if she could help it. The next morning, Anna awoke before sunrise. She dressed quietly, careful not to disturb Michael, and sat by the window, watching the city wake. The streets were filled with life, strangers going about their routines, oblivious to the quiet drama unfolding in a house on the outskirts. Anna felt a mixture of awe and longing, a desire to belong, but also a cautious awareness that she was far from home, far from safety, and far from certainty.
Breakfast was served promptly at 8, as Michael had dictated.
Anna moved carefully, aware of his eyes tracking her movements, noting every detail. She smiled politely, responded to questions with measured honesty, and tried to read his mood.
Every word, every gesture mattered. The morning passed in a careful dance of observation and compliance, punctuated by small conversations that tested her understanding of her new reality.
By the end of the day, Anna had begun to map the house, the routines, and the man who now played such a central role in her life. She noted the times he was most lenient, the moments when he seemed distracted, the subtle ways he exerted influence without direct confrontation. These observations gave her a sense of control, a tiny but precious foothold in a situation that often felt overwhelming. As night fell again, Anna lay in bed thinking about the days ahead. She knew that the weeks and months to come would be challenging, filled with unknowns and delicate negotiations of power and trust. But for the first time since she arrived, she felt a quiet determination growing inside her. She would learn, she would adapt, and she would find a way to maintain her sense of self, even in the midst of fear and uncertainty. Outside, the wind whispered through the trees, and the city lights glimmered faintly in the distance. Anna closed her eyes, taking a deep breath. She was alone in a foreign land, with a man whose intentions were not entirely clear, and yet she was ready to face the challenge, step by careful step, holding on to her courage and the small flame of hope that refused to be extinguished. The morning sun streamed through the curtains, spilling light across the polished floor of Michael's house. Anna rose quietly, her mind still restless from the night before. The memory of his words, "We're alone now, let's do what must be done," clung to her, refusing to fade. She moved carefully, making her bed with precise motions, as if the act of organizing her space could somehow calm the anxiety inside her. As the days passed, Anna began to observe Michael more closely. He was a man of routine, precise and deliberate in everything he did. Breakfast was always served at the same time, with the same food arranged neatly on the table. He asked questions about her day, about her past, and sometimes, seemingly without reason, would test her knowledge of things she had never learned. These moments made her heart race, but Anna realized she could not show fear openly. She had to remain composed, patient, and cautious. She noticed small patterns in his behavior. When he was pleased, he smiled briefly, his eyes softening in a way that felt almost human. When he was displeased, he would frown slightly, a silent signal that carried more weight than words. Anna learned to read these signs carefully, adjusting her actions to avoid unnecessary conflict. Every day was a careful dance of observation and adaptation, each step measured, each word chosen. Despite the tension, Anna was determined to retain a sense of autonomy. She explored the house quietly, taking note of doors that locked from the inside, windows that opened, and the layout of each room. She memorized the schedules of Michael's comings and goings, the times when he was most focused on work, and the moments when he seemed distracted. These small observations became her tools, a way to maintain a sense of control in a life that often felt uncertain. One afternoon, while Michael was occupied in the study, Anna ventured into the kitchen to prepare a meal. She worked quietly, chopping vegetables and arranging ingredients, mindful of every sound. Cooking had always been a comfort for her, a skill learned from her mother, and in this moment it became a way to ground herself. She hummed softly under her breath, a small act of defiance against the tension that permeated the house. Michael entered the kitchen unexpectedly, his presence startling her. He observed her silently for a moment, then asked a question about the meal she was preparing. Anna answered carefully, noting the subtle cues in his voice and expression. He seemed satisfied, and for a brief moment the air felt lighter, almost normal. But she knew better than to let her guard down entirely.
His moods were unpredictable, and trust had to be earned, not assumed.
Over the next few days, Anna began to test the boundaries subtly. She would offer small suggestions, adjust minor routines, and observe Michael's reactions. Some suggestions were accepted with a nod or a faint smile. Others were met with quiet disapproval. She learned to navigate these interactions carefully, understanding that patience and observation were as important as courage. Each interaction became a lesson in human behavior, teaching her how to protect herself while still maintaining a semblance of normalcy. One evening, Anna found herself alone in the garden. The flowers and shrubs were meticulously arranged, a reflection of Michael's precise nature. She walked slowly along the paths, taking in the scents of blooming roses and freshly cut grass. The garden with its ordered beauty provided a brief escape from the tension inside the house. She sat on a bench and allowed herself a few moments of quiet reflection, thinking about the life she had left behind and the uncertain path ahead. As she sat, Anna thought about her family and friends in her hometown. She missed them deeply, their laughter, their familiarity, and their unconditional support. The letters she had sent had been met with hopeful replies, but the distance made communication slow and unreliable. Each letter she received was a reminder of the world beyond Michael's house, a world where she could still belong and be herself. This thought gave her strength, a quiet determination to navigate the challenges she faced with courage and intelligence. Anna also began to recognize the ways in which Michael's control extended beyond daily routines. He was attentive to her movements, her expressions, and even the tone of her voice. She realized that small gestures like speaking too quickly or looking away at the wrong moment could invite scrutiny. These realizations heightened her awareness, making her cautious but also more strategic in her interactions. She learned to anticipate his reactions, to think several steps ahead, and to protect her autonomy through subtle, careful actions. One afternoon, Michael invited Anna to accompany him on a drive through the city. She felt a mix of excitement and apprehension, unsure of what this outing would reveal. The streets were crowded, the noise overwhelming, but Anna focused on observing Michael. He spoke politely to the people they passed, yet there was an intensity in his eyes that never wavered. He seemed to measure everything, noting details that most people would overlook. Anna realized that understanding him required not only attention to his words, but also careful observation of his behavior. During the drive, Michael spoke about the future, discussing responsibilities, expectations, and the importance of partnership. His voice was calm and persuasive, and Anna listened intently, absorbing every word. She understood that he expected obedience, but she also detected a deeper need for control, a desire to shape her life according to his own vision. This understanding was both frightening and enlightening, providing her with insight into how to navigate her circumstances. Back at the house, Anna spent hours reflecting on her experiences. She journaled quietly, recording her observations, thoughts, and emotions. Writing became a tool for clarity, helping her to process the tension and fear that often overwhelmed her.
She detailed Michael's routines, his patterns of behavior, and her own reactions, creating a mental map of the environment she now inhabited.
This practice helped her feel less helpless, giving her a sense of strategy and preparedness. Anna also began to practice small acts of quiet resistance. She chose her words carefully, maintained her independence in minor ways, and sought moments of solitude to recharge. She found comfort in these small victories, knowing that each choice reinforced her sense of agency. While she could not control every aspect of her life, these subtle actions reminded her that she was not completely powerless. One night, Anna overheard Michael speaking on the phone in a low, serious tone. She could not understand every word, but the intensity of his voice suggested urgency. She listened carefully, noting the patterns in his speech, the pauses, and the moments of emphasis. This observation reinforced her understanding that information and awareness were powerful tools. By paying attention to details, she could better anticipate challenges and protect herself. As the weeks passed, Anna grew more adept at navigating Michael's world. She learned to predict his moods, to recognize subtle cues, and to manage her own responses. She also found moments of joy and creativity, tending to the garden, experimenting with cooking, and exploring the city when accompanied by Michael. These activities provided a sense of normalcy, a reminder that life could still hold beauty and possibility despite the tension.
Yet, the shadow of his earlier words, "We're alone,"
"Now let's do what must be done," never fully lifted. They lingered in her mind, a constant reminder that caution was necessary. Anna knew that one wrong move could escalate the situation, and she remained vigilant. balancing compliance with careful observation. Her fear was tempered by strategy, her anxiety by determination, and her isolation by the knowledge that she was learning, adapting, and growing stronger each day.
Anna also sought ways to connect with the world beyond Michael's house.
She practiced the language spoken in the city, observed local customs, and quietly built a mental network of potential allies. These preparations were not overt, but they provided a sense of empowerment, a recognition that she could take steps to protect herself and assert her independence when the time was right. One evening, Michael invited Anna to sit with him in the study. The room was dimly lit, the air filled with a faint scent of leather and polished wood. He spoke calmly, discussing plans, responsibilities, and shared goals. Anna listened attentively, offering measured responses. She noticed the slight relaxation in his posture when she spoke with confidence, a small but significant insight into the dynamics between them. Understanding these nuances became essential for navigating her life safely. As the night grew late, Anna retired to her room, reflecting on the progress she had made. She had learned to read Michael's moods, anticipate his expectations, and maintain her sense of self. Each day brought new challenges but also opportunities to practice courage, intelligence, and patience. She understood that survival required both observation and strategy, compliance and subtle resistance. Lying in bed, Anna thought about the weeks ahead. She knew the path would not be easy, that the tension between fear and agency would continue to test her. Yet she felt a growing sense of confidence, a recognition that she could navigate the challenges of her new life with careful thought, attention, and courage. The house remained a place of both beauty and unease, but Anna was determined to assert her presence within it, to survive, and to maintain her dignity. Outside, the night was quiet, the city lights twinkling in the distance. Anna took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the past weeks and the possibilities of the future. She was learning, adapting, and preparing for whatever lay ahead. The memory of Michael's words remained, but they no longer filled her with helpless fear. Instead, they served as a reminder of the vigilance required to navigate a world that was both strange and uncertain. In these moments of reflection, Anna understood that strength came not from confrontation alone, but from patience, awareness, and careful action. She resolved to continue observing, learning, and planning. She would not be completely controlled, nor would she allow fear to dictate her life. Each day, each interaction, each choice was a step toward maintaining her independence, her safety, and her sense of self in a place far from home. Anna woke to the soft glow of morning, the quiet hum of the city beyond the house barely disturbing the calm. She stretched and took a deep breath, feeling the tension in her shoulders from the days of careful observation and silent planning. She knew that the moment to act was approaching. Michael's behavior had become more demanding in recent days. Small tests of her obedience had turned into larger expectations, subtle instructions laced with pressure that made her stomach tighten with unease. She moved quietly through the house, making her bed and arranging her room. Every motion was precise, deliberate. She had learned that even small signs of nervousness could be noticed and judged. For weeks, she had practiced keeping her composure, observing Michael's reactions, and learning the moments when he was most distracted or most attentive. Today, she resolved she would use that knowledge to take a step toward asserting herself. During breakfast, Michael spoke of plans for the day, a casual tone masking the intensity she knew lay beneath. Anna answered with careful politeness, measuring every word. She noticed his subtle gestures, the way his eyes lingered slightly longer when he was displeased, the faint tightening of his jaw when he was annoyed. These signs had become familiar to her, a language of tension that she had learned to read. Later, while Michael was in his study, Anna took the opportunity to move quietly through the house, reviewing her observations and forming a plan. She considered every detail, The locked doors, the times he left certain areas unattended, the moments when he became absorbed in work. Each small piece of information built a map of the household, a mental strategy that she could use to navigate the day safely. The day passed with a tense rhythm. Anna maintained composure, performing her tasks efficiently while observing Michael from a distance. She noted his moods, the moments of softness in his otherwise controlled demeanor, and the slight cracks in his calm exterior. Each observation strengthened her confidence. She realized that she was no longer simply reacting to his behavior. She was anticipating it, understanding it, and planning her responses with care. As evening approached, Michael requested that Anna join him in the study. She hesitated for only a moment before following, her heart steady but alert. The room was dimly lit, with shadows stretching across the polished floors. Michael's posture was calm, yet his presence was commanding, filling the space in a way that demanded attention. Anna reminded herself to stay composed, to remain calm and observant, and to act with both courage and strategy. He spoke quietly at first, discussing responsibilities, expectations, and the importance of cooperation. Anna listened attentively, offering thoughtful responses. She could feel the underlying tension, the subtle tests hidden within his words. Budespec. He was assessing her, as she had assessed him. The air was thick with anticipation, and Anna knew that this was the moment when her preparation would matter most. Finally, Michael paused and leaned forward slightly. His eyes locked onto hers, and for a brief moment, the quiet of the room amplified the weight of the unspoken tension. Anna felt a surge of determination. She could no longer simply observe and react. Breaths. She needed to assert herself, to establish her own boundaries in a way that was calm, clear, and deliberate.
I need to speak, Anna said softly but firmly, her voice steady.
Breath. Michael raised an eyebrow, intrigued by her tone. She continued, choosing her words carefully. Burn. I want to live here and work with you, but I also need to be heard. I need space to make some choices for myself. Michael's eyes flickered, a brief flash of surprise crossing his expression. He remained silent, watching her, waiting for her to continue. Anna took a deep breath, feeling the courage she had cultivated over weeks of observation and reflection. I understand your expectations, she said, and I am willing to cooperate, but I cannot follow every instruction blindly. I need respect for my thoughts and feelings as well, Bess. The room remained quiet, the tension palpable. Michael's gaze was steady, intense, as if weighing her words carefully. Anna held her ground, refusing to back down. She had rehearsed this moment mentally countless times, and now she trusted her preparation, her awareness, and her determination. After a long pause, Michael spoke. His voice was calm, measured. You are bold, he said. I did not expect such confidence. Anna felt a flicker of relief, tempered by the awareness that this was only the beginning. Her words had been received, but the balance of power in the house was still delicate. She needed to maintain vigilance, even as she asserted herself. The evening continued with a subtle shift in the dynamics between them. Michael's demeanor was slightly less controlling, his tone softer in conversation. Anna noticed the small changes, recognizing that her courage and clarity had influenced him. She continued to speak thoughtfully, listening carefully to his responses, and using her observations to guide her actions. Each interaction strengthened her sense of agency, reinforcing the knowledge that she could navigate the challenges of her new life with intelligence and careful planning. Later that night, Anna reflected on the day. Patience. She realized that asserting herself required both courage and strategy. She had not confronted Michael with anger or hostility, but with calm clarity and thoughtful communication. This approach had allowed her to establish boundaries without provoking unnecessary conflict. She felt a sense of empowerment, knowing that she had taken an important step toward maintaining her independence. In the days that followed, Anna continued to practice this balance. She spoke with clarity, observed carefully, and acted strategically.
Beh. Michael responded with a mixture of curiosity and respect, testing her in subtle ways but also showing moments of understanding.
Anna learned to navigate these interactions, recognizing that each encounter was an opportunity to strengthen her confidence and assert her agency.
One afternoon, she ventured into the city with Michael for errands.
The streets were crowded and noisy, but Anna focused on observing both her surroundings and Michael's behavior. She noted his interactions with others, the way he handled challenges, and the subtle cues that revealed his temperament. This experience reinforced her understanding that knowledge and awareness were powerful tools in maintaining her autonomy. Back at the house, Anna continued to develop her strategies. She organized her schedule to maximize both efficiency and independence, finding moments of solitude to recharge and reflect.
She maintained careful communication with her family through letters, drawing strength from their support even across the distance.
Each day, she grew more confident, more capable, and more aware of the subtle dynamics that govern her life in the house. Despite the progress, Anna remained cautious. She knew that assertiveness must be tempered with awareness, that courage must be balanced with careful observation. Michael's behavior was unpredictable, and she understood that vigilance was necessary to navigate the ongoing challenges.
She practiced patience, using each interaction as a learning opportunity, and gradually strengthened her ability to maintain control over her own choices.
Anna also found ways to cultivate small joys and moments of normalcy.
She tended to the garden, prepared meals with care, and explored hobbies that brought her comfort. These activities provided a sense of balance, reminding her that even in a tense environment, life could still hold beauty and satisfaction. She discovered that maintaining her own identity was essential to her resilience, allowing her to face challenges with confidence and clarity. One evening, Michael requested a private conversation in the study. Anna approached with measured composure, ready to apply the skills and strategies she had developed. The conversation was intense but respectful, with both of them sharing perspectives and expectations. Anna remained calm, thoughtful, and deliberate, asserting her needs while listening carefully to Michael's words. By the end of the conversation, Anna felt a sense of accomplishment. She had navigated a high-stakes interaction with clarity and courage, establishing her boundaries while maintaining respect and composure. Michael's reactions indicated a subtle shift in the household dynamics, a recognition of Anna's strength and intelligence. She understood that while challenges would continue, she was now equipped with the tools to face them with confidence and resilience. The following days continued with a careful balance of observation, strategy, and assertiveness. Anna had learned to anticipate challenges, recognize subtle cues, and respond thoughtfully. She continued to maintain connections with the world beyond the house, drawing strength and perspective from these relationships. Each day reinforced her understanding that courage, awareness, and careful planning were essential in navigating the complexities of her new life. Anna's confidence grew steadily. She had transformed from a young woman overwhelmed by fear and uncertainty into someone capable of facing challenges with intelligence, patience, and courage. She understood the delicate balance required to assert herself without provoking unnecessary conflict, and she applied these lessons with care and precision. One night, as she lay in bed reflecting on the past weeks, Anna realized that the journey was far from over. Challenges would continue, and the dynamics of her life with Michael would evolve. Yet she felt a deep sense of empowerment, knowing that she had taken control of her choices, established her boundaries, and strengthened her resilience. She had faced fear with courage and uncertainty with thoughtful observation. Outside, the city lights shimmered softly, the quiet hum of life continuing around her. Anna closed her eyes, taking comfort in the knowledge that she had learned to navigate her new world with strength, intelligence, and patience. The house remained a place of tension and challenge, but she had discovered the power of careful observation, strategic action, and quiet courage. The morning sun spilled golden light across Anna's room, filling it with a warmth that felt different from before. Today she felt a new sense of clarity, a quiet strength that had been growing inside her for weeks. The days of careful observation, cautious planning, and strategic action had not been easy, but they had prepared her for this moment. She had learned the rhythms of the house, the patterns in Michael's behavior, and most importantly, the power she held within herself. She dressed carefully, choosing clothes that made her feel confident and composed. Each movement was deliberate, steady, as if the act of preparing herself could reinforce the courage she had cultivated. The house felt different to her now. Where it had once been a place of tension and unease, it now seemed like a stage for her own careful steps, a place where she could assert herself and navigate life with thought and strategy. Breakfast was calm. Michael was present, his usual intensity softened slightly by the knowledge that Anna had grown more confident, more aware, and more capable. She engaged in conversation politely, yet with a quiet assertiveness. She noticed the subtle shifts in his demeanor, the way his eyes lingered slightly less on her, the way his voice carried fewer hints of control. The balance of power had shifted, not through confrontation alone, but through careful observation, thoughtful words, and unwavering composure. After breakfast, Anna found herself in the garden, where the flowers she had tended over the past weeks seemed to flourish. The act of caring for something living, of nurturing growth, mirrored the strength she had cultivated in herself. She breathed deeply, letting the scent of roses and fresh earth fill her senses. In this moment of quiet reflection, she recognized how far she had come, how much she had learned, and how much strength she had discovered within herself. Her thoughts drifted to her family and friends back home. She had maintained communication through letters, drawing strength from their support and encouragement. The distance had been difficult, but it had also allowed her to grow independently, to face challenges on her own terms. She realized that while she had been physically isolated, she had never been truly alone. The connection to her past, to those who cared for her, had been a guiding light through the weeks of tension and uncertainty. Anna also reflected on Michael, the man who had brought her to this house and tested her in subtle ways. She understood him more clearly now, the patterns of his behavior, the moments of kindness and intensity, the subtle cues that revealed his temperament. She did not see him as purely villainous, nor as entirely gentle, but as a complex human being whose expectations and control she had learned to navigate. This understanding gave her perspective, reinforcing the idea that strength often came from awareness and careful action, rather than confrontation alone. That evening, Michael requested a private conversation. Anna approached the study with calm confidence, prepared to engage thoughtfully and assert her perspective. The room was familiar now, the dim lighting casting gentle shadows across the polished surfaces. Michael spoke first, outlining plans, expectations, and responsibilities. Anna listened attentively, her responses measured, thoughtful, and assertive. She maintained a balance of respect and clarity, ensuring that her voice was heard without provoking unnecessary conflict. The conversation shifted gradually. Michael, perhaps recognizing her growth and determination, began to speak more openly, revealing thoughts and intentions he had previously kept guarded. Anna responded with honesty and calm reasoning, establishing her boundaries while engaging respectfully. The tension in the room lessened, replaced by a quiet understanding. She realized that the dynamics of the house had evolved, that her careful observation, courage, and assertiveness had created space for mutual respect. Later that night, Anna reflected on the journey she had undertaken. She had faced fear, uncertainty, and tension, yet she had emerged stronger, more capable, and more self-assured. Each day of observation, each small act of courage, each thoughtful conversation had contributed to her growth. But she understood that liberation was not simply about leaving the house or asserting control over others, but about recognizing her own strength, making informed choices, and maintaining her sense of self.
Over the following days, Anna continued to apply the lessons she had learned.
She organized her schedule to maximize independence, maintaining moments of solitude and reflection. She engaged in conversation with Michael thoughtfully, balancing cooperation with clear boundaries. She continued to explore the city when accompanied, strengthening her awareness and confidence in navigating new environments. Each action reinforced her autonomy, her resilience, and her ability to face challenges strategically. Anna also found joy in small moments of freedom. She experimented with cooking, tending the garden, and exploring creative pursuits that brought her satisfaction. These activities provided balance, reminding her that even in a life of careful navigation and strategy, there was space for happiness and fulfillment. She discovered that strength was not only about vigilance, but also about embracing moments of beauty and normalcy amidst the challenges. One afternoon, Anna received a letter from her family. Their words were filled with love, pride, and encouragement. Reading the letter, she felt a surge of connection and belonging, a reminder that while she had faced challenges alone, she was supported and valued. The letter reinforced her sense of purpose and her determination to continue navigating her life with courage, wisdom, and independence. As weeks turned into months, Anna's confidence grew steadily. She had mastered the delicate balance of observation, assertiveness, and strategy. She knew when to speak, when to listen, and how to act with both clarity and patience. Michael's reactions continued to shift subtly, acknowledging her strength and understanding, and creating a more balanced dynamic within the house.
Anna felt a deep sense of empowerment, knowing that she had reclaimed her voice and established her boundaries.
Eventually, Anna made a decision. She would continue to live in the house, but on her own terms. She would maintain independence, pursue her own interests, and navigate interactions with Michael thoughtfully and strategically. She would not allow fear or uncertainty to dictate her life, nor would she surrender her sense of self. Instead, she would embrace the lessons she had learned, the strength she had cultivated, and the courage that had carried her through the weeks of tension and challenge. The moment of liberation was quiet, almost imperceptible. It was not marked by confrontation or dramatic gestures, but by a steady, calm awareness of her own strength and autonomy. Anna moved through the house with confidence, engaging in daily routines with deliberate care, and navigating interactions with Michael with clarity and respect. She had achieved a sense of balance, a recognition that while challenges would continue, she was capable of facing them with intelligence, patience, and courage. In the garden one evening, Anna stood among the flowers, feeling the cool breeze on her face and the warmth of the setting sun. She reflected on the journey she had undertaken, the fear, the tension, the careful observation, and the courageous actions that had brought her to this point. She realized that true empowerment came not from control over others, but from knowledge, awareness, and the ability to assert oneself thoughtfully. Anna also thought about the future. She had learned that life was full of challenges, that relationships were complex, and that independence required constant vigilance and thoughtful action. Yet she felt confident in her ability to navigate these challenges. She had discovered resilience, patience, and courage within herself, qualities that would guide her in the days, months, and years to come. As night fell, Anna returned to her room. She sat by the window, gazing at the city lights twinkling in the distance. The house was quiet, the air filled with a gentle calm that reflected her own inner peace. She closed her eyes, feeling a deep sense of satisfaction and empowerment. She had faced uncertainty and fear, observed carefully, and acted with courage and intelligence. She had established her boundaries, reclaimed her voice, and discovered the strength within herself. Anna knew that her journey was far from over, that life would continue to present challenges, surprises, and moments of tension.
Yet she was no longer the same young woman who had arrived weeks before, overwhelmed by fear and uncertainty. She had grown, learned, and adapted.
She had mastered the art of careful observation, strategic action, and thoughtful communication. Most importantly, she had discovered that her own strength and courage were sufficient to face whatever came next. The city outside was quiet, the stars shining faintly in the sky. Anna took a deep breath, feeling a sense of calm and accomplishment. She had navigated the complexities of her new life, asserted her independence, and reclaimed her autonomy. She had faced fear, uncertainty, and tension with patience, awareness, and courage. And in doing so, she had discovered a power that could never be taken from her. The power of self-knowledge, resilience, and thoughtful action. Anna lay down, feeling a quiet confidence settle over her. She had achieved a sense of balance and empowerment that would guide her in the days ahead. She knew that life would continue to test her, but she also knew that she was capable, strong, and prepared. The house, once a place of tension and fear, had become a space where she could exercise her agency, make thoughtful choices, and navigate her life with clarity and confidence. In these final moments of reflection, Anna recognized the truth of her journey. True strength did not come from control over others, nor from dramatic acts of confrontation. It came from awareness, patience, courage, and the deliberate exercise of choice. She had learned to navigate the complexities of human behavior, to assert her boundaries thoughtfully, and to maintain her sense of self in a world that had initially seemed overwhelming and uncertain. The journey had been long, challenging, and at times frightening. But Anna had emerged stronger, wiser, and more confident. She had discovered her inner strength, reclaimed her voice, and learned to navigate life with courage, clarity, and resilience. And as she closed her eyes, she felt a sense of peace, knowing that while challenges would continue, she was ready to face them with confidence, wisdom, and the quiet power she had discovered within herself.